What is going on, everybody? Tanner Fiver here with the NFL Rumors podcast. This is, I believe, episode 10 of season 2. So thank you guys for tuning in. We have a special guest today, Kylen McCracken. But before we get into that real quick, I want to introduce the co-host and very popular Twitter account, NFL Rumors. Welcome.
Hey, glad to be here. Glad to be here with Kylen. Definitely happy to go over a lot of the news that's happening. We've had a lot of news come down since the last time we met with you about a week ago. So it's going to be very exciting stuff as we almost got all the coaches wrapped up. We only got 2 jobs left. We're going to go through all that. We're going to go through the rumors. We're going to let Kylen tell you about himself, to add to NFL teams. Kylen represents Cleveland Heights, Ohio, the same place the Kelsey brothers represent. So a big shout out there.
I guess that would be the New Heights, their podcast show, huh?
Yep, there you go. Cleveland Heights, that's where they're from.
Didn't even think about that. Kylen, welcome to the NFL Rumors podcast. It looks like right now we have about, let me click into this. 115 people watching. So, man, this is the time to shout yourself out. Where are you from? And tell us about just everything that's been going on this last year heading up into the Tropical Bowl that you just played in.
All right, that's cool. Appreciate y'all for having me on. Like they mentioned, my name Kylen McCracken. I just finished up my last year at Marshall. I finished up like my undergrad at Ohio University, and I just hit the transfer portal, just like to finish out my last year to try and get as much as exposure as I could. Like they just mentioned, I did just finish up at the Tropical Bowl. Like that was a great experience. It was a really good way to get like more exposure and just compete with like a more elite talent from all around the world. I definitely enjoyed it. It was definitely fun just to get in those mixed practices, go against different talent, and just playing in the game itself. Like it was a great environment down in Orlando. It was definitely better weather than I'm in right now, but I definitely enjoyed it while I was down there.
Yeah, that's exciting. And so this last year, what did you do or how did you perform differently? Like, was it statistically, like, how do you think you performed overall, and what can any team heading into the draft expect from you?
I feel like it was definitely good to get a switch up. I feel like overall, I don't feel like my numbers like popped how they wanted to. Just because of like the scheme I was in or whatnot. I definitely feel like I made plays that came my way. I definitely did put out a lot of dominant film, but I was dealing with like an ankle injury that tweaked me at like the first game, so I was just fighting through it like adversity with that. This is trying to stay healthy and balanced for the team. But I know, like when you mentioned, like what can teams expect out of me? I definitely feel like I'm a diverse defensive lineman. Rather it's for like a 2 down, 3 down situation. Definitely bring like this great diversity like around the whole line. Like I can just I didn't show I can get put in like a lot of different positions, like just playing from like a 0 to a 5, 0 to a 9, defensive nose, tackle, shade, 5 tech. So I definitely feel like I can get put into like a lot of positions, like on the D line, just to help whatever like the team needs me to do in that situation. I've always been real big on being like a team player and like just helping like any way I can. But like just some of my traits, I feel like I move like very well, like laterally and whatnot. I have a great first step. Just like the IQ of the game, I feel like that increased for me a lot over this last year. Being around Marshall, big shout outs to Coach Street and Coach Huff. I feel like they molded me a lot as a player, and just like the short time they did have me. But I feel like it's a lot. I feel like NFL teams can get like a lot out of me if one choose like to take a chance on me.
That's great to hear, man. And I'm happy for you. And honestly, it's great, like, that you won. Tell us about the you won one co-MVP for the Tropical Bowl.
Oh
So
yeah.
how do you think what was your performance like there, and like what do you think contributed to that award?
I feel like just overall like just my attitude and like my approach like to the camp. I feel like I stuck out in practices, like just the way like I carry myself. Just like how I was moving through drills, practices and whatnot. I feel like I had a great motor like during that entire time. Just like getting the co MVP was like definitely that was definitely great to have. I didn't know about it till like earlier today, but I feel like I definitely played well in the game as well. Like just really staying big on my gaps and whatnot. I definitely show ability of pass rushing and whatnot. Playing at a three tech DN as well. I just definitely had to show like a lot, and I didn't try and do too much like outside my frame. I just played like my usual game and just went from there.
That's great, man. Yeah, no, I know that these bowls are a great opportunity for everyone to really expose themselves to. There's tons of scouts that go to these, man.
Yeah,
So I know that you're popping up on radars already. You got to be, and especially as we approach draft time after the Super Bowl happens, come April, it's going to be all this film and your performance there is going to be noticed for sure.
oh yeah, absolutely. I just can't wait for like the next opportunity to keep coming my way. I'm just taking it one day at a time.
This will be my, I want to say, fifth draft, fourth or fifth draft that I've taken seriously, as far as like covering the NFL. I'm excited to see what this year provides. This last NFL draft for 2023 was the first draft that I actually made some good connections and kind of found a niche. And um, I started a little late in the process. It was like a few weeks prior to the draft where I started getting some connections. So I plan on doing that over the entire offseason heading into the draft, and just hopefully just make some better connections, meet some more players, and just chasing my dreams as well. I know these players are chasing their dreams too. Um, I know that you told us before we started going live here that you are a Seattle Seahawks fan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So tell us your thoughts so far on the. Were you surprised about the Pete Carroll news?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised, but I knew something was coming. Coach P, he got a lot of juice, man. He done had a lot of juice like over the years.
Yeah,
I was kind of surprised about it, but like I love like the route they took with it, like still keeping him a part of the organization. And I feel like he's still gonna have like a big impact. Like I'm just curious to see like who the next coach would be. Like that's a big void you kind of feel, man. Like how Pete like addressed every day with practices, how he came to games and whatnot. So
yeah.
I'm definitely like interested to see who they choose, but it did kind of catch me off guard though. Like that was kind of
It caught a
crazy.
lot of people off guard. It's
Yeah,
crazy because they were saying like he's going to remain with the team in some kind of capacity, some role. But then I saw
Yeah.
rumors that he would be a dark horse for Brandon. What was it? The Chargers job before they hired their coach.
yeah. I think he wasn't really considered as one of the top candidates there, but I
Yeah, I
think
just
that
saw a
he
report about it.
Yeah, I do think he'll have some say though in their coach. I think that they will pick his brain a little bit. And that's the reason I'm leaning toward Dan Quinn as the head coach of the Seahawks. I think this is a perfect situation for Dan. He goes to Seattle where they got two elite corners there. They got a really nice defense. They might
Yeah,
need to add a pass rusher or so. They got some decisions to make at quarterback. Gino there played at WVU. He's actually done really well as a second big breath in the NFL. Also, they got a really good young running back. They got DK Metcalf. We got two young wide receivers that they got. They got the veteran Tyler Lockett. There's a lot of good talent there, and I think Dan Quinn could be somebody to really push that to the next level defensively. And a dark horse that I have for the job is Mike Vrabel.
Mm, that'll be
okay.
interesting.
But I really
Now,
like Dan Quinn. Think about when Dan Quinn was there, it was the Legion of Boom,
yeah,
right? With Richard
Yeah.
Sherman and the gang. And I know that Dan Quinn has a lot of love in Seattle. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he was able to land this job.
My main question is what could they provide offensively? And I had the same when I heard the news about Raheem Morris to the Atlanta Falcons. I'm like, okay, they're just going to be a 500-ish team again. I mean, I'm not doubting his skills as a head coach, but defensive-minded coaches to a team that already has a pretty stout defense that has improved a lot. What are they going to do offensively? For Seattle and the Falcons, like, what do you think would be a good fit offensively?
Yeah, I think Raheem will take him to the next level. Raheem,
Okay.
he was actually somebody that was so well thought of. Kyle Shanahan really wanted him to be the 49ers DC before he went to the Rams. When the 49ers defensive coordinators was getting all those head coaching opportunities,
Yeah.
I know that he wanted to add them to the staff, and he worked there while Kyle Shanahan was there too. So we might look at Raheem Morris going and getting a McVay, Kyle Shanahan offensive mind to come and try to run the offense there, right? So that's something we could really possibly watch. But I think that it was a good hire. I think he's a good leader of men, and I just think he's got to make a really solid pick at offensive coordinator and a really solid pick at quarterback.
Yeah, that's my
Coming
main
up.
concern is like, what are you going to do at the quarterback situation? And who are you going to hire offensively? And that question still stands for Seattle as well and the Pittsburgh Steelers. 'Cause I don't
Yes.
think they've named an OC yet.
From everything I heard with the Washington Commanders in the last 24 hours, Ben Johnson is still the guy there, right? Ben Johnson is 1A, and 1B is Bobby Slowick, the Texans offensive
Yeah, yeah.
coordinator. You got to think that the general manager there for Washington has been in there for San Francisco for a long time. He's watched Bobby Slowick for years being on the 49ers staff. So he does know him really well. But Ben Johnson is the candidate. Everybody's saying that he can't miss. But Ben Johnson, if he decides, he could go back and wait for another team next year if he don't like the selection that he has right now. Seahawks, I'll be honest with you. I think Seahawks will be a great fit for Ben Johnson. I've not heard his name there much, but I think he would be a great fit there. To run that offense there, he's already got a strong defense.
Yeah.
Bring in a DC, I think he would be a great hire there too.
Now, what do you think on all of the Cliff Kingsbury drama lately? The
Yeah,
interviews.
Cliff Kingsbury interview with the Eagles. The Eagles look like since then they've looking at some other interviews too. Uh,
Kellen Moore.
yes, Kellen Moore today. Pittsburgh Steelers are really after Cliff Kingsbury. I hear that somebody's really high on their list. Thomas Brown is really high on the Steelers list too. The ex. Uh, he was there with the Rams as well, and then he was there with Carolina last year as an OC. So
Okay, yeah.
yep. So there's some possibilities there, but the Eagles still have to get an OC. Kellen Moore done a pretty decent job there with the Chargers. Offensively, they were really pretty well, like offensively in the league. So I think he could do some good things there. The Eagles pretty much, like honestly, just wiped their hands of all their offense and defensive staff. Vic Fangio's a great hire though for the Eagles coming up.
Yeah,
He's a
that was a
spec.
surprise.
Yeah, he wanted to take the Eagles job last year, Tanner. But the problem is the timeline of when they lost their DC that went over to the Cardinals to be the head coach, and
Yeah,
he really wanted the
Gannon.
Eagles the whole time. So I mean, I
Man,
think
my
it's
thing
just
is like the Eagles still their final record and stretch there may not have reflected it, but they still performed really well considering losing an offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator all in one offseason. I mean, like, think about it. That's like you had a Super Bowl contending team, and then you lose both coordinators to head coaching opportunities?
Yep,
Like,
you
I
got it.
mean, they still pretty much overperformed. And like, yeah, of course, the coordinators that they had in there were probably not going to live up to the level that they were at the previous year. But Vic Fangio, I think he's a great defensive coordinator. I don't think he's the best one out there, but he's historically had stout defenses. I think it's going to be a rejuvenation for that defense. And offensively, Kellen Moore wouldn't be terrible for them. It'd be better than what they had. So
I would say too, really watch the Bills OC as well. He's interviewing to be their full time OC. Remember, their offensive coordinator got replaced in the middle of the year, and the Eagles has some ties to him as well. So that
it
is
was Kafka, wasn't it?
no, that's the Giants OC. Um,
Okay.
yep. So the Bills actually OC, he has actually a lot of good college connections too,
It's the old
like with
LSU guy with
Joe
Burrow.
Brady.
Joe Brady, yes.
Yeah, so he has a lot of connections. The Bills want him as a full-time OC, though, is what we're hearing. But
Yeah.
the Eagles will definitely, I think that they'll give a shot at that interview for sure if they go a different direction.
Now, Kylan, speaking of all the teams interviewing and everything, and who do you see as the best fit for your favorite team, the Seattle Seahawks? Did I already
Uh,
ask you that?
yeah. Honestly, I've been looking at a lot of the coaches like who's available and like their show interest. It's really hard to say. I know anybody at that level coming in would be like a great fit, obviously. But I feel like someone that can come in that can just try and elevate like the offense and defense and like add special teams in like a great way. Like I feel like all the players will buy in. It's a great culture there. There's a lot of leadership there as well. They
Do you
just need
think
like
they
a
need an offensive minded coach or a defensive minded coach?
um. I want to say offensive mind because I feel like the Seahawks defense, like over the years, like definitely
Hmm.
have been improving since like the Legion of Boom. Even this show, like they showed a lot of great things defensively. But just my opinion, I feel like an offensive round, like an offensive minded coach could come in and like be
Yeah.
very impactful. Especially like we got a lot of weapons on the offensive side that I feel like we can get like a lot more out of. It's a lot of youth all around, especially at the running back position. The receiving core is very elite right now. And the offensive line is great as well. We can always make improvements at like every position, you know. But I definitely feel like an offensive mind coach would be like beneficial.
Yeah, I could see that too, and that's the reason I mentioned Ben Johnson. You
Yeah.
know, Bobby Slowick could end up what he did with C.J. Stroud for the
Hmm.
Texans. He could end up being somebody that you never know that Seattle could be interested in. I want to get back to Kylan here. Kylan, what is the one player that, if you could pick any player right now playing, game reminds you of your game?
Um, I want to say, like just all around, I want to say like the Forrest Buckner. Like I've been watching him a lot, like
Yeah.
over like my years of college. Like
Great
just the
player.
length, point of contact, or strike he have. And just like his play style, he doesn't do like a lot of crazy things. Like he keeps it very simple, but like he's just very dominant at what he does. Like he got a very dominant. Like what was one of my favorite moves he do? Just like the strike, like the club rip. Like he's like a technician at it, just how he does it, and just playing like with extreme length. Like that's something I want to get to. Just keep improving that. Just playing like with more length and just dominating guys, really snapping off of blocks. I feel like he does like a very good job at that. That's one I would say like just right off the bat.
Yeah,
Forrest Buckner, huh?
I think the Niners really made a big mistake letting go of DeForest Buckner
Yeah, that was
because
an
at the
interesting trade at the time. Yeah,
yeah, because they had him and Ark Armstead both there, and those are both great defensive tackles together there. And just imagine what they have now with Nick Bosa and Chase Young.
yeah,
So
that would have been crazy. It would have been crazy.
yeah, yeah. I really have heard that the 49ers really want to bring back Chase Young, Tanner. There's something that Nick Bosa wants, and honestly, Nick Bosa probably will rework his contract to see if he can get Chase Young back because they're very good friends on and off the field. So it'll be very interested with how that will work out because I think that could be a definite move that we might see in the off season about Chase Young. I'm going to get the thoughts about what you think about your team in Seattle and Russell Wilson. That's I think that could be a good
Oh yeah, your
topic me
former
and you could talk
QB.
about.
Man, I was hurt. I was hurt when we let Russell go, man. That hurt me. That hurt me. But that was definitely another interesting move, man. You never know how the world might work, man. Russ might find his way back with the Seahawks, man. But Gino is definitely playing at like a high level as well. So
I will
ah,
say Geno's wasn't playing as good. He didn't play as good as he did his comeback year,
yeah,
2 years
yeah,
ago.
yeah,
He played a lot better.
Yeah, and one thing about Russell Wilson, the name that you keep hearing right now with Russell is the Pittsburgh Steelers, right?
Yes, I've heard that.
Yeah,
hmm
that's the name you keep hearing a lot, and I think, looking at that, I think that would be very interesting to see. Is if he went to Pittsburgh, I mean, the fans, I think, would really love Russ there,
yeah,
and I think if he goes there and he beats Kenny Pickett out for the job, I mean, Russell Wilson could be a nice quarterback addition for him for a few years for sure.
yeah. No doubt. I definitely feel like any team Russell can like really get back around and just find his groove again. Russ is still like one of the. I feel like, in my opinion, he's still one of like the most elite quarterbacks like in the league right now. But I feel like he just need to just find like the perfect team for him, and like that plays well off his play style. Good protection all around.
Yeah, I would say I agree. One of the things people don't talk about Russell Wilson about, and I understand that he did have some ups and downs, but actually last year his stats were very good.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, they
you
were.
know, I mean, it wasn't that he was playing bad. It was the fact that Sean Payton did not want him as his quarterback.
Yeah, it was a lot of interesting things going on like over there. Especially like towards the end of his playtime there, like with the contract renegotiations and just like the route they took with him. But it's a business at the end of the day. But no, he definitely was like versus like his first year. I definitely think like he picked it back up and like he showed like more spurts of his old self during this season. So it's definitely just gonna be interesting to see like where he end up. That's definitely something I'll be following.
Didn't
Yeah,
they say he lost some weight though heading into this season?
I believe
Yeah,
so.
Like his
yeah,
conditioning like wasn't what it was, and then he's like, okay, I got to get back to like my prime self.
hmm
So I
Yeah,
think he lost some weight too. And it's yeah, his stats were not bad at all, but it's just like that Denver offense, man. It just like couldn't seem to. It just
yeah,
didn't seem to click. But it
yeah,
it is weird. It's like he had good stats, but on tape and on the field, it just didn't seem that way.
yeah, no
And it's
doubt.
hard. It's hard to. But yeah, that whole situation there with Sean Payton was kind of all of those. I just hate to be in that situation there. That was kind of rough.
Yeah, that
But
does.
I've heard a lot about him to Pittsburgh possibly.
yeah, I think it's going to all depend who Pittsburgh hires as an offensive coordinator, because if they hire like Cliff Kingsbury, somebody
Yeah.
like that, he's got a lot of experience with quarterbacks like Kyler Murray, right? Like and things like that. I mean, so Cliff Kingsbury, I think that'll be an interesting hire if Pittsburgh gets Thomas Brown. That'll be also an interesting hire. They got the Rams there. He is the ex Rams guy. Panthers, we could see, Pittsburgh maybe looking at a lot getting a veteran. And I'll be honest, like I know a lot of people, are willing to write Jimmy Garoppolo off, but Jimmy
Yeah.
Garoppolo said just got done saying that this was a good year for him, even though his stats wasn't great. He said this was a year that he could come and got healthy. This is a year that he finally got healthy, and I think that is very good. And a team that really maybe just needs a good quarterback, a good game manager like Jimmy, could be a good place for him to go. Maybe Pittsburgh, right, or a place like that to compete with Kenny Pickett.
My thing is Pittsburgh has kind of seemed like a franchise QB franchise, and getting someone in their mid 30s at this point, it would just be a bridge, And I feel like they're searching for They just don't seem like the type of team. Tomlin doesn't seem like the type of coach that wants a bridge quarterback. Yeah, if they can play decent for 1 or 2 seasons for him, but they seem like they want a franchise guy. I think that's why they stuck with Pickett for a while and even gave Trubisky a shot because he was still like 28, 29 years old.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
I don't
he's
know. They just
history.
seem like a franchise kind of
Yeah,
team.
Mitchell Trubisky will be playing for somebody else. And my prediction is that Mitchell Trubisky will join probably the Giants, right, in the offseason.
Okay.
Because I think that Brian DeBoer, done some really good things with him in Buffalo. And I think that will give Daniel Jones, even Daniel Jones is going to be the man there. But Trubisky just gives them an option if somebody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes to with that. So I
I
look
could.
for him to go there, maybe.
Here's another one. Where do you see Marcus Mariota? He stepped away from the team, right, with the Falcons, and I don't know if he was like outright released at that time. Like, is he even playing football? Is he wanting to return? Do you know anything on that?
Well, I think last year he was he was a backup to Jalen Hurts with the Eagles, and so Marcus Mariota, I think
Right.
teams are still interested in him. I think that some teams could look at him as a backup. Maybe a team like the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh just coming there this week, to be a backup over there to Justin Herbert. I mean, I could see that being a good spot. He could probably run Jim Harbaugh type offense very well.
All right. So with Jim Harbaugh now coaching the Los Angeles Chargers, what kind of sway do you think this is going to have not only in free agency but in the draft?
The draft is going to be huge because he's going to have the insight because he's been scouting and recruiting the top players in the country for a few years. So he's
Yeah.
going to have an insight that most people won't. So that's going to be big on the draft. One of the things that Jim Harbaugh will be looking for is a bell cow, a good running back. That's just the way his systems ran. He runs things out of a deep set offensive line with many run variations. That's just the way he runs things. And it would not shock me at all if the Chargers might look at somebody like Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, somebody like that, because Mark Roman, who's going to come and be the OC, worked with J.K. Dobbins, worked with Gus there already, Edwards. So he's got experience with them. So it wouldn't shock me at all that if he goes in that direction,
So
or
he's
he might.
bringing over his offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator from Michigan.
No, he's bringing over Greg Roman, who was his OC in San Francisco, who went on to the Ravens to be an
Oh yeah.
OC. In his DC, he's bringing from Michigan, who is an up and coming coach. So I would imagine that they'll be doing some big things. They'll change Derwin James was used all wrong. Derwin James is a beast when you put him playing on the line. They was playing him out in coverage, playing him that push back 10 yards.
His statistically Derwin James has kind of fallen off with the Chargers, but that's because you had Brandon Staley for the last 3 years.
Yeah, and it's very surprising that Miami's reportedly considering, not that he's their top choice, but they're considering Brandon Staley as a possible DC with some other people like Sean Desai of the Eagles. So they're
Yeah.
considering a lot of different people there in Miami to take over that role. Brandon Staley, he knows the Miami coach really well. Sean Desai does as well.
What
Sean Desai got a bad. I'll be
What do
honest
you
with you.
think of the Packers situation? Defensive coordinator Joe Barry's gone, but if you want, while you were on it, I think Brandon Staley has connection with Matt LaFleur because
Yeah,
both
right.
Joe Barry and Staley were with the Rams
I
with
heard the
LaFleur.
name to mention in Green Bay, Tanner, for your Packers is Jerry Gray. That was the name. He used to be an ex-DC there for
Yes,
the Titans, and he
yes.
worked in their secondary. So I think Jerry Gray's the name everybody mentions for the Packers right now. Uh, one of the things I would say, Brandon Staley, I mean, I don't know if he'll land a place, but I want you to remember this. Even if Brandon Staley don't land as a DC, he is known as a great linebackers coach as well. So he developed people like Khalil Mack, and that's why Khalil Mack come and play for him. So a linebacker coach could be a great spot for him to try to get his name back out there again.
I see. What about Wink Martindale? He's going to be out there.
Yeah, he interviewed with the Jaguars, but it looks like the Jaguars got their man from Nielsen from Atlanta, who did a great job with their defense. So I think that's a be interesting. It wouldn't surprise me, Tanner, if the Eagles look at Wink. You know what I mean? Like it, or maybe as a coming on if he don't get a DC job, maybe coming on as a mind on that staff. You know what I mean? That wouldn't
With Vic
surprise me.
Fangio?
Yeah, that would be a deadly combination. But I do think Wink Martindale still has plenty of options to be a DC.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yes, the story's not written on Wink yet for this year. I mean, he's doing some good things. I think him and the head coach there had some problems, but uh, he could come on and do some good things, I believe.
I agree. Now let's move on. We want to make sure we include Kylen. Kylen, we talk about a lot here, as you can probably tell.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any like thoughts you've kind of, or anything you've been like, oh, well, they mentioned this, makes me think of this or that? You have any initial thoughts on anything we've covered?
I know you guys been a lot back and forth. I definitely agree with like a lot of things y'all done said, like with different coaches, like what they fit, what they bring to the table. I like the topic y'all was talking about, like with Mariota too. Him potentially like being like a backup with the Chargers. I feel like that'd be if they implemented it right, that'd be like a different twist they could bring like to the offensive game. Herbert, I feel like he's like one of the best like true passers in the league.
Yeah.
But Mariota, he could come in like bring like more to the run game. He's a really good quarterback as well. That would be another great fit. Then we was talking about Jim Harbaugh being a new coach and he got more insight on like the college players like going into the draft. I feel like he could definitely use that to his advantage. Since he now had like a close eye on a lot of the top athletes in the country all over for the past few years, and even like his own players, they just won the national championship. And I know, depending on like what the teams need, I know he could like lean his way on some of his former players that's like projected high in the draft.
I was thinking
Or
about
just
that.
yeah, like I definitely feel like that'd be helpful for him. I don't really know like their picks, like the pick order they have, but that's definitely something I could see happen. Like a pop up in the draft, like they grab a former Michigan player, just to come in right off the bat and contribute to the team. But it'll definitely be interesting to see like when the draft kicks off and like all like the coaching jobs get filled, head coaches, OCs and DCs and whatnot. It's definitely interesting to see.
Yeah, a name that jumps out for me, Kylan, for Jim Harbaugh, one of the free agents, is nobody but Jabril Peppers that played
Yeah,
for the Patriots. He can
yeah,
play a lot of different positions for
He
you.
played at Michigan, right?
Yep,
yeah.
he
He played
played
at
at
Michigan. Yep.
Michigan. He could do kick returner for you. He can play in the slot. He can play as a safety. He even can play at linebacker.
Yeah,
Right? You can put
he's
him
a
all
true
over the
athlete.
spot.
Yeah, true athlete right there.
Where did he start out? Was he drafted by the Browns?
Yes.
Yeah, Browns. Yep. And then I think he went to the Giants afterwards for a while.
Yeah, then New England grabbed him, and he really played well for the Patriots.
Mm.
He did a good job. I just think you get a guy that knows how to use him well, like Michigan, Jim Harbaugh, and the defensive coordinator he's bringing over. I think that could be huge for Jabril Peppers.
It's no surprise that he played well for the Patriots. They've always seemed to have stout defense. At least when Belichick was there, that's going to be different now that he's basically a free agent coach. It's going to be interesting to see how the Patriots can perform. Let's cover Bill Belichick real quick. What do you think? He's just not going to coach this year? That now that he didn't get the Falcons job.
Yeah, he was a favorite for the Falcons job, as we reported. Like everybody, kind of said it as well, not only us. But everybody expected him to get hired after that second interview.
Yeah.
I everybody that I talked to, Arthur Blank really, really liked Bill Belichick, really did. To bring him in. But I do think that he listened to people in his organization. He listened to his GM, and he
Yeah.
thought that the best way to go was Raheem Morris, which is definitely, the Bill Belichick glamour definitely probably got Arthur Blank like, hey, you know what? I want a big name coach like that. But at the end of the day, he's got to look over what's best for the franchise. So when you're looking at that, I think that is what they have to settle on. And I do think now that Bill Belichick, unlikely he's going to get the Seattle job because they just let go of Pete Carroll. They're looking for a younger mind. No way they're going to bring in Bill Belichick, in my opinion. The Commanders could be the long shot, but I think that they're dead set on the Detroit Lions OC. So I don't think that Bill Belichick is going to be there. So we're probably going to be looking at Bill Belichick doing something like Sean Payton did in the studio, talking. Somebody's going to go after him. There'll be a studio analyst, talk a little bit about the game. Um, I always thought it was a cool idea. I've not heard any of this, but I thought it would be a really cool idea if you could put him and Tom Brady in the booth. You know what I mean? That would be a
Yeah.
Fox seller right
Yeah,
there.
that'd be
You
a
talk,
great seller. Get both those
yeah.
minds in the studio.
Well,
Oh
and Tom
yeah.
Brady's like under contract, isn't he, for 2024?
Oh yeah. Tom Brady's almost got a $400 million contract with Fox, right? So Tom Brady is not looking for any handouts anytime soon. And but looking at Tom Brady, he's going to replace Greg Olson as the play-by-play man. They haven't decided who the other play guy is going to be yet, but Tom Brady will be the lead Fox guy on the big game of the week.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I definitely can see that.
But I would love to say, could you imagine Bell? It would remind you like a Monday Night Football. You put Belichick, Brady in there and get you a great, great analyst. Hey, I'll tell you who I'm thinking about. I'll just be honest. Is Gus that calls the college games
Yeah.
for CBS?
Hmm.
Man, he's fire when it comes to calling college games. You put him in with Belichick and Brady calling games, man, they'd be the perfect pair.
That would be interesting, and I'm kind of excited to watch and listen to Brady in the booth.
Yep.
And it just seems I don't want to say convenient, but it worked out that Belichick is now unemployed, and then everything just kind of lines up, times up perfectly. Maybe he does come into the booth with Brady, kind of give us like their own version of the Manning cast or something,
Yeah.
and kind of break the ice of or the stigma that Brady and Belichick were never like close. They were
That
just
would be a
a
great way to
winning.
do it.
They were just like, oh, they came to work, they won, and then they went home. They didn't really care outside of that. They can probably break that stigma pretty easy.
Definitely. A name that I'm really interesting and t- talking to Colin there. He can tell us what he thinks too. That Jim Schwartz didn't get offered much in this cycle because he did a great job with the Browns defense all year.
He really did, like the entire season. Maybe except for that last playoff game, but like everyone's gonna have a bad game every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean he was the number one defense almost 15 out of 16 weeks. And I mean, this is great. I mean, you really, I thought he would get a shot at maybe one of these jobs, but he never got any calls. At first, got a little interest, but if he can come out with another good year with the Browns again like this, Tanner, I think his opportunity will definitely get there.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
We're about 40 minutes in. First, I want to hear Kylan's predictions on current Super Bowl matchup out of the four teams remaining, and your favorite to win this year's MVP award prediction wise.
Uh, Let me see. I'll say my favorite off the back for MVP got to be Lamar Jackson.
I
Just
like
like
that.
how just how he been excelling, performing, like through the entire season, just from being they saying like he couldn't throw, he couldn't pass, from being like one of the most accurate quarterbacks. like just
Hmm.
throughout the playoffs, throughout regular season. And just how dangerous he is as a mobile quarterback as well, and like the chemistry he got with the team. I think that would be like a no-brainer, honestly. Uh, Lamar Jackson. Then my matchups with it definitely got like this is gonna be this is gonna be another great weekend of football. KC versus the Ravens. I definitely think the Ravens gonna come out top. It might go to OT or something. It might be a high scoring game, but I definitely think the Ravens gonna come out on top on it. And then the Lions and the Niners game.
Yeah.
That's I think everybody want the Lions in the Super Bowl. I don't know, just to see like how the Niners played Green Bay last week. Like it was real shaky. I didn't know who was really gonna come out of that, but I think the Lions go get over the top the Niners this week, and then the Lions and the Ravens. That's just gonna be like a great battle through and through, like the whole Super Bowl if it does go that way. But I think I'm just gonna take like the Ravens overall just to finish it out this year. Mahomes and them, that's another great team. I don't know if they're gonna be able to get past just this Ravens team this year.
They've been
Is
playing good, man.
yeah, this Raven team is. I thought last year they looked great, but like this year they kind of look untouchable right now. If they just come with the right mindset, the game day, and just keep taking it one day at a time.
They're definitely hot right now. I've been scoring a lot of points. So I
Yeah,
agree with you there. I think it's going to be I hate to say it, but I hope the Lions beat the Niners. But as a
I
Green
would
Bay
love to
fan
see
myself,
it.
it's like, oh man, do you want to see the Lions lose? It's a NFC North rival. But you mentioned that the Niners played very shaky, but they always
Yeah,
kind of find a way to win, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. This is gonna be like a great matchup for them. It's gonna be a
Yeah,
great matchup, and then, but I just think like through the entirety of the game, I think the Lions gonna come out on top on that one.
that'd be really cool to see. I would have loved to have the Packers have another chance at the Lions. God, man, it made me sick. They always just let teams crawl back into the games a little bit. It just drives me nuts.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with my Super Bowl pick. I've not made it, but we're gonna do it official here on the NFL Rumors podcast. It's gonna be the 49ers and the Ravens, and I think it's gonna be the 49ers in the Super winning the Super Bowl.
Mm.
Sadly, I agree with the matchup. Um, I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm not really a Ravens fan, but I don't want the Chiefs to win. Um, so and like I said, I really like the Lions this year, but their defense, I think, has led up almost 400 yards passing in the last 3 games. Like each game. So I saw a statistic like that, and they're banged up in their secondary. And like I said, the Niners just find a way to do it. They just find a way to win. Annoyingly, find a way to win.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah,
it's going to be Ravens Niners.
yeah.
Ravens on top.
Yeah, so we got 2 votes for the Ravens, 1 for the Niners. I do think that we're gonna see that go down with that, and we still think that 100 people still tuned in, watching us. We really appreciate that. That is, we really appreciate all the wonderful followers, and I want to make as we're getting ready to end things. I wanted to make our great guest, Kylen McCracken of Marshall University, make a pitch, Kylen, to the NFL team and let them know that why they should draft Kylen McCracken.
um, yeah, just like I'm not really gonna change it up before. I just feel like whatever team just like give me an opportunity to come perform, like they just be getting a well-rounded dude just that can just help the team in a lot of different ways. Just be like a defensive haggle on that D line. I really can just like I said before, just like it's playing very diverse. I can play more than one position and like this how my play style is. Just like as a great run stopper, get developed better as a passer, and just add that into my game and just really take myself to the next level. I feel like you would get a lot out of me. Great dude on and off the field. I try and stay real involved in the community. Like just to help and giving back, just the best way I can, given the position I'm in. But I just feel like just whatever one team just take that chance on me, it was just it'll definitely be worth it. I just say that this just to see like my worth ethic, my drive, and just like how I can like maneuver like just like throughout the ups and downs of the season, through life. I just feel like that is begin like a real wanted defensive tackle. We can just go from there. I just my biggest thing just always was just working, just getting to the grind and just sticking to the grind, like no matter what's getting thrown my way. So
That's awesome, man. No, I think that's the exact attitude so many teams are looking for. Someone level-headed. I've mentioned it before, but someone I always come to in my head as far as like just a balanced person, um, balanced attitude, someone that just goes out there to play the game and just is respectful and humble. Paul Goldschmidt of these St. Louis Cardinals, he's always been that way. So I've always looked up to Paul Goldschmidt. I know that's a totally different sport, but I'm just bringing that up. But man, if you can offer that to teams, you're golden, man. And I think you're going to be just fine. We appreciate your time coming on to the NFL Rumors podcast. This was season 2, episode 10. Rumors, you got anything else you want to add before we go?
Yeah, all these NFL teams better look at Kylen, and if you need a big stopper guy over 300 pounds in the middle, he'll make some big plays for you. So looking at everything that he's going to provide. Hey, he's from Cleveland Heights, Ohio, the home of the Kelsey brothers,
yeah,
right? That just tells you that's flowing in the water down there, right? So you got to make sure that you're taking a look at this guy, and he's not only a good player. I've got the pleasure of watching film. He just won an award in the only bowl game that he performed in for MVP. And looking at that, he's a great person as well, right? So you could not go wrong in giving this guy a chance if you're listening out there.
Absolutely. Once again, thank you so much for your time, Kylen, and hope to have you on again when the NFL draft is approaching. I forgot to mention it. I'm so sorry. I forgot to mention it at the very start of the podcast. I want to make sure to remind everyone watching that this podcast is brought to you by Expand Sports. Connect with athletes, keep up with sports news and scores, gain exposure, and get recruited. You can sign up for free at expandsports.com. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 10, season 2 of the NFL Rumors podcast. We'll see you guys later.
Thank you, guys.
appreciate y'all.